Hey there, in this video I'm going to show you how to create an icon site according to some of the best practices that I showed you in the last video, right? So that last one was a tour of an icon site made according to the best practices, and here we're going to learn how to actually put one together. So you can see on this screen, this is the site for my writing and reading course that I'm teaching this fall. And I have done very little with it, right? There are a couple different modules here, but they're not even ones that are going to stay. I've just been playing around with different options. Modules is the default setting for your icon site, right? If you do nothing, modules will be the homepage. And that's not the worst thing ever. In fact, some people use modules as a homepage to great effect because, as I said in the last video, modules is a great way to organize lots of different types of content and information. The problem is that in Icon, modules is set up as a single space in your icon site, which means that all your modules are always here, right? You can publish and unpublish different modules, but you can't say that you only want, for example, the first 5 modules to appear on your homepage and all the modules to appear somewhere else, right? It doesn't work that way. So what that means is that if you want, say, all the modules for all 15 weeks of your class to show up anywhere on your site, they have to all show up on your homepage, which can be a little bit of an onslaught for students, a little bit of a kind of an overwhelming first brush with the home of the course, right? Because it's a whole lot of information all at once that they have to sift through, which can go against those best practices of decluttering and chunking and using intuitive links, right? Can make it harder for them to quickly and easily find exactly the piece of information that they're looking for. That being said, if you're really proficient with modules and how to make things sort of visually intuitive within modules, absolutely go for it. But for a lot of people, I think it can end up being a little bit of just an overwhelming space for students to see as their first brush with an icon site. So I'm going to show you how to set up a page like the one we talked about in the last video. Okay. So before I even show you the page, I'm going to show you where you'll upload any pictures and things that you want to use. So you'll go over here to Files, and you'll click this Upload arrow. And from there, you can pick a whole bunch of different images or documents or PDFs or videos or various things that you have in your computer that you want to put on your icon site, right? So once you've uploaded, say, an image that you want to use on your homepage, remember the homepage on the last site that I showed you had that nice, book lying open on a bed to give it sort of a cozy feel. Once you're ready to go, you're going to go to Pages here in the left-hand navigation. You're going to hit this yellow plus page button. All right. I'm just going to call it Homepage. Whatever header you put here actually won't show up when you make this page your homepage, and I'll talk to you about how that works in a second. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in that image. All right. You can also put a URL link that will embed an image. The problem with that is that the link has to be stable, of course. If the person who created that link changes or takes down that link, your image goes with it, right? So I like to actually just upload the files to Canvas, but that's more of a personal preference thing. All right. So here's the image I want to use. And I'll make sure to put a description in this alt text for students that are using screen readers. All right, update. And there it is, right? Okay, now I'm going to put in that table that I used on that last site that I showed you to organize those intuitive links that help students find exactly the information that they're looking for as quickly and easily as possible, right? So I'm going to create a table. I like to use 4 in a row, but you can obviously adapt this depending on how many links you need. I would only say that you always want to remember that you're balancing making information accessible with not making it overwhelming, right? So really choose maybe 3 to 5 things that you think are really important for students to have immediately at their fingertips when they get to the homepage, and link to those here. And make sure that you find other ways to direct them to the other information that they need. All right. Course, assignments, and activities. Course policies. That frequently asked discussion page. Frequently asked questions discussion page. trying to type and speak at the same time, and meet your instructor. And like I said, what exactly you put in here can depend on the needs of your course, right? Whether that's, a place where they find Zoom links or links to campus tutoring centers, whatever it is, you can decide according to your course what are the 3 or 5 most important things for them to have right here. All right, so you've got the table and the text, now you just need the links, right? So for this, in the last one I showed you, course assignments and activities linked to a page. For this course, I'm going to link it to modules because this course is a little bit more involved. It's 3 credit hours as opposed to 1, and just has more stuff going on. So I'm going to need that sort of organizational capability of modules to really make all this intuitive. So I'm going to link over here to modules. Okay, here's something that's a little bit tricky. A lot of instructors, as they go through the semester, they publish and unpublish various modules depending on what students need. So there's a problem where if you link to a module but it's not published, that can make the link go kind of wonky, right? So you want to make sure that you link to a module that's going to stay published for the entire course. And I would even say link to the one that's going to be at the top of your modules page. I sometimes even just create a module that literally is only a text banner, right? That says maybe course assignments and activities right at the top. And I link to that module because I know I'm going to keep it published the whole time and it's always going to be at the top. That way this link stays steady and stable and predictable, right? But for these purposes, I'm just linking it to one that I've already got, but I'll fix that later. Course policies, I'm going to link to a page. So I'm going to click pages over here, hit course policies. For frequently asked questions, that's a discussion that I made, right? And I understand this is a little bit like a Rachel Ray cooking show where she goes, and then we're going to hard-boiled the eggs. Oh, look, and pulls some hard-boiled eggs out from under the counter, but here we are, all right? And then I would also link to the Meet Your Instructor page, which I actually haven't created yet. All right. And by the way, you create those pages like course policies and Meet Your Instructor exactly the same way I'm creating this page now. You just go to pages, hit that yellow plus page button, and then start putting in the images and text that you need, right? Okay, now I'm going to put in some about this course text, right? This is a little bit more text than I would usually like, and I'm going to edit it down, but kind of as a placeholder for myself, I'm just going to leave it in. And remember that sometimes when you copy paste, especially from Word, your formatting can be a little wonky, so make sure you're just sort of being aware of that possibility and going in and cleaning things up as you need to, okay? All right, so now I've got my image banner, I've got my links, I've got my about text. Now I'm going to create that table that pointed my students to my digital spaces, right? Those spaces that we're maintaining like rooms, even though it's really, our email or a discussion board, but thinking of them in ways that we step into and step out of them at particular times. All right, so I'm just going to create a really simple table. Email, my office, my virtual office, and here's where I'll put my link to the standing Zoom meeting that I use for my office hours, and then drop-in hours, and my email hours. Okay, and then I'm actually also going to put when I check discussion boards. Specifically the FAQ discussion board. I'm going to check it Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 4:30. Okay? All right, so there I've got my digital spaces clearly laid out for my students so that they know when I'm going to be available in different forms of contact, right? In the same way that they know I'm going to be in the classroom when I will be teaching a face-to-face class or know I'm going to be in my office, right? The last thing I want to point out is that I called them drop-in hours rather than office hours. The pedagogical research says that calling them something like drop-in hours or even better, student hours communicates more clearly to your students that this time is for them. right? Often students, especially first-generation college students, tend to feel like they're interrupting you, right? And that they shouldn't be asking for your help if they are inconveniencing you in some way, right? So by calling your office hours student hours, you're helping make it clear to them that this time is for them, right? And that they should be taking advantage of it. Okay? All right, so I'm going to save. All right, so there we go. Like I said, a little more text than I would like, and I'll think about what I want to edit out later. All right, so I'm going to publish this page, and then how do we make this your home page, right? Because if you look, my home page is still all my modules, right? So I go to pages. The first thing I have to do, click these 3 dots here, and click Use as Front Page. This will make it your home page for pages, which I know is kind of confusing. And then to see that list, you'd click View All Pages, right? So this makes it the home page for your pages when you click that in the left-hand navigation. But if I go to Home, right, still my modules, right? I can now click Choose Home Page. That's now an option, right? So I click that. And I click Pages from Front Page, Save. And there we are, right? And remember when I said that whatever heading I gave the page itself wouldn't show up? That's because the name of the class shows up, right? And I also want to tell you that the default, at least here at the University of Iowa, is that this actually shows up as the class's full call number, right? So the department, course number, section number, and the semester, right? Which I think always just looks a little bit cluttered. Obviously, the students know that it's their reading and writing class. They only have one, right? So you can fix that by going into settings and editing the course name right here. It's not a problem. It won't make anything else sort of wonky in your site. You just edit it here to make it the title of the course that the students find more intuitive, right? Okay, the last thing I wanted to show you is, remember how in the last video I showed you how to make this navigation menu over on the left-hand side look less cluttered? So when you do that, the way to do that is to go to Settings, which we're already in, then hit Navigation. All right, and you can see that there's just a whole bunch of stuff here, right? There's even more stuff actually that you can make visible if you want to. So students don't need to see most of this, right? It's just clutter, it's just confusing, and makes it harder for them to use those intuitive links to find the information that they need as quickly as possible. So I'm actually going to drag a bunch of stuff that they don't need, right? Like they don't need this. And by just dragging it into this bottom column, that'll make it invisible to students, right? They're not going to use chat. They're not going to use the media gallery. We're not going to use collaborations in this class. We're not going to use conferences, right? We don't do quizzes. I also pull down rubrics because I like to have them access rubrics through the instructions for a particular assignment, right? I don't like them to be able to look at the rubric without also looking at the instructions. So I force them to access rubrics through the assignments page. Okay, so I'm also going to pull down files. They don't need to see that. A good way to think of this is sort of, if you've ever worked in a restaurant, sort of a front of house, back of house thing, you want your students to see the area that has been curated and cultivated for them, right? You want them to see the tables and the menus and the waiters, right? They don't need to see all that's in the pantry. They don't need to see everything going on in the kitchen, right? This allows you to have sort of a space where you can muck around and just upload things and have ideas that they don't necessarily see, right? So by pulling down things like files, where I just upload kind of everything that I might want for a course, right? They don't need to see that. Similarly, I'm going to pull down pages. They don't need to see that. Any page that they need, I'm linking to either on the home page or in a module. They don't need people. They don't need a list of everyone in the class. Let me double check. I think that's about right. We don't use this either. Okay. I'm actually going to move Zoom up because we use that quite a bit. All right, so you can also drag and drop which order things go in here. All right, so then I hit save it all the way at the bottom. So then, when I go back to the home page and I hit student view, that list just got a lot shorter, right? Funneling my students towards those intuitive links and keeping them in sort of front of house land, right? So that they're only seeing the parts that I have carefully curated for them to see and navigate. Okay, so a couple of things to remember as you're creating your own icon site. Use images and warm supportive text to set the tone for your course. Don't have a whole bunch of text on any given page. That'll just make it harder for students to find what they're looking for, and especially since they have lower stamina in digital learning spaces than they would in person. Chunk out your content into small, digestible parcels that they are more likely to find easily and remember. Maintain your digital spaces, right? Tell them when you're going to be in your various digital spaces and then stick to that schedule. Have a frequently asked questions page so that students can answer each other's questions and make your life easier. Use intuitive links in order to direct students easily and quickly to the thing that they're looking for to reduce frustration. All right? And edit that navigation to help with that as well. Okay, thanks all. Remember that if you have any questions about any of this, you can contact Ideal and we'll give you a hand. Other than that, good luck with your semester. Thanks.